During the college football offseason, and even now during the start of the 2023 college football season, the team that's been the talk of the whole offseason or even the start of this current year for football has been Colorado football, which a team that went 1-11 in 2022, you may not expect that. But with the hiring of Deion Sanders and what they did in the transfer portal, bringing in pretty much an entirely new roster from top to bottom, everyone's been talking about them all offseason long, and especially to start this season when they kicked off on Big Noon versus TCU, a team that was just the national runner-ups for the 2022 campaign. They went in their house and they beat them 45-42. And most recently, the most televised game during week 2 of the college football season, they dominate Nebraska 36-14. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Colorado football and the start that they've had thus far for 2023. I'm not just going to be talking about the good and what they've done in the portal and just hype up the team completely. I'm also going to be talking about the negatives, but ultimately give my thoughts at the very end. Before I move on, remember to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's get into it. Going into this college football season, there was a lot of unknown with Colorado football and what to expect, as no one saw this team ever play together, and it was an entirely different roster and an entirely different coaching staff. Even some people thought Deion was in over his head, especially with the way that he was building his roster by basically processing people out all at once and bringing people in all at once as well. And I would say the majority was thinking that yes, this Colorado team was going to be better than last season without a doubt, but they weren't going to be very good, and more than likely were going to be maybe a 3-4 win team. In my opinion, I had them as a bowl team, but the majority of the people saw them as a team that was going to be in the bottom of the Pac-12 and likely not reach a bowl game. However, after they beat TCU in week 1, a team that was coming off a national title and was a top 25 ranked team, and they beat them, everything changed. Now, Colorado, they're viewed as a top 25 team. In fact, they're ranked inside the top 20 as of the recording of this video, and everyone thinks they're going to go to a bowl game and potentially contend for a Pac-12 title. Which, to be honest, it's totally fair, as they put on a very good showing against TCU and won that game that many people thought was going to be almost a for sure loss, that week 1 matchup. I mean, I'll be real. I even had as a loss, a very close one at that, but they showed up, they impressed everyone, they impressed me, they impressed a lot of people. And I can say confidently they're going to go to a bowl game. I already had that happen before the season, but you can even be more sure of it now. And now this seems like the national media is picking up on that too. To take a brief look at Colorado through their first 2 games, they're a top 25 team, rightfully so. They're playing some very good football and deserve to be a top 25 team with what they've shown. They're averaging 40.5 points a game, which is great, especially against the opponents they've played in TCU and Nebraska, 2 Power 5 schools. I know it says 27th ranked in total out of 132 teams, but let's be real, it's not like they're playing 2 lowly FCS schools like maybe some of the top 5 have. I haven't done a deep research to look at the top 25 or top 5 teams and see who they really played, but teams that are averaging 60 plus right now, they're probably not playing as good of teams as TCU and Nebraska like Colorado. But that's not a knock on them either. I'm just talking about Colorado and saying that the 40.5 and the 27th rank is a lot better than it actually looks. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, they are allowing 28 points a game, which ranks 97th in the nation. And the total defense, I will say right now, it's pretty concerning. It's only been 2 games, and I understand that it's really too early to tell to an extent, but the total defense being ranked as of the recording of this video, 113th, there's definitely a lot to improve upon. For this next part of my video, I want to talk about some pros and cons early on for Colorado football. These are some things that they've shown early on that could help them down the line, and some things that could hurt them down the line. First, I want to talk about the good that's been going on with Colorado football. Of course, they're 2-0, and they've beat 2 Power 5 teams, one that was TCU, who was top 25, and one Nebraska team, which they're not always an easy team to beat, and they beat them pretty handily. I know they haven't been good for a while, but they've been a team that's at least been in some games. Well, let's get back to what my point is. Let's talk about some pros. Total offense, 14th. That offense, it looks really good. Passing, they're number 2 in the nation. You cannot get much better than that. Only one spot more. Turnovers, on the defensive side of the ball, they're number 6 in the nation for turnovers forced. And passing defense efficiency, they rank number 42 out of 132 teams, which I would say 2 games in with the competition they've played compared to some of the other teams on the FBS level, I would say that's pretty good and honestly pretty promising to an extent. Now, yes, that's some great things that can help them down the line, especially once you increase the competition level. However, I'm going to be talking about some things I think is kind of concerning to an extent. Rushing offense, 124th out of 132 teams. Sacks allowed, they ranked dead last in FBS Division I football. Tackles for losses allowed, 124th out of 132 teams. I understand Shedeur Sanders is a great quarterback, and it seems like if he keeps this up, he's going to be a Heisman finalist and could have a real shot at winning that Heisman trophy. Everyone knows he's a great quarterback, and I think he's easily one of the best, and I think he's going to be a first-round pick in this year's NFL draft. If he actually declares for it, he could always come back because he has another year of eligibility. But let's get back to the point. Seeing those offensive statistics, it's not the best indictment on your offensive line. The most sacks allowed, some of the most tackles for losses allowed, and having a rushing offense near the very bottom of college football, that's not the best recipe for winning success, and it's not the best recipe if you want to compete for a Pac-12 title. Especially this year against some of the teams you're going to be facing, like a USC, Oregon State, Washington, just to name a few. They're going to play all those teams this year. But let's take a look at the defense. Because overall, the defense has not been very good through these first 2 games. Yes, the passing defense, the efficiency, it's pretty good, and they've been forcing turnovers, which is always a great thing. If you win that turnover battle, you're going to win games. But rushing D, 127th out of 132 teams. Tackles for loss, 128th. Sacks, they rank 105th in the nation. Total defense, 113th. Now, I don't know about you, but the Pac-12, pretty much every team they're going to be facing on the rest of their schedule has a really good quarterback, one of the best in the nation. And all those teams they're about to face on the rest of their schedule, most of them have a good offense, which if their defense does not pick it up, it could be a bad thing for Colorado football down the line. For the rest of the season, Colorado will play Colorado State this upcoming weekend, which I'm expecting them to honestly win that game pretty handily, and then they start off Pac-12 play. They play Oregon, USC, Arizona State, Stanford, UCLA, Oregon State, Arizona, Washington State, and Utah to close the season. My closing thoughts on Colorado football thus far through just the first 2 games is that they look very promising, and they definitely look a lot better than many people were expecting. Even I'm acknowledging that. And they're a very fun team to watch. Shedeur Sanders and that receiving core, even with Dylan Edwards coming out of the backfield, it's very fun to watch. And how can you not mention Travis Hunter? Travis Hunter is probably the best pure player in college football right now. He's making plays on both sides of the ball at a very efficient and high level. But I do have to say, that upcoming schedule in the Pac-12, I'm kind of concerned about trench play. The trenches have not seemed to be the best part of their team. They have not stopped the run very well. They have the most sacks in college football. They haven't ran the ball very well. They've passed the ball great. They're one of the best passing teams in the nation. I don't see that going away. However, it does need to be said, if they want to be one of the better Pac-12 teams and truly contend for a spot in that title game, that Colorado football is going to have to make some drastic improvements in those areas of weaknesses that they're showing very early on to start off this 2023 campaign. I think they have a lot of potential to surprise some people this year, but of course it's very early on into the season, and there's going to be a lot of madness and drama to play out as the season goes on, and we're all here to watch it. Well guys, if you made it this far in today's video, Drop something down in the comment section below. How do you think Colorado football is going to fare for the rest of the 23 campaign? And before you head out, remember to smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, and subscribe if you haven't already. B. Kelly out.